Special guest to rock with us today. We've got Dr. Khallid Shabazz. I met Dr. Shabazz I would say about 4 or 5 months ago up at Fort Hood. I got a chance to interview him for some, we were trying to improve the recruitment of military chaplains, and he assisted me with it, and we made it happen. He gave a great interview. We used his video that we recorded with throughout USAREC now. But I wanted to shift from the USAREC, the military, the very structured sort of interviewing style, to know a more personal style that I enjoy. And so I invited Dr. Shabazz to come and join me on this interview. Actually, last night, reached out to him and he said, yeah, let's do it. Let's make it happen. So I want to, bring on Dr. Shabazz. Before we go in, let me just talk a little bit about Dr. Shabazz and who he is. And then, of course, he's going to go into more about who he is as a man, as a leader, as an educated person, and as a Muslim. We're going to talk about that today. So Dr. Shabazz, he's a native of Alexandria, Louisiana.
Woo!
Louisiana. Wonderful state. I enjoy that state anytime I go down there. Good food down in Louisiana, both in Shreveport and New Orleans when I went there recently. He's an educated man. He has 4 master's degrees, y'all. 4 masters. And I believe he has a Ph.D. as well. And he's in school getting more education. So he is a man. He is a man's man, an educated man's man. So let me bring him onto the stage. And Dr. Shabazz, welcome to the chat.
Hey, no, thank you, man. I tell you, when I last night, right before you hit me, I said, Otis is interviewing somebody, man. Well, would it be a great opportunity for him to interview me? I mean, 3 minutes later, you hit me up in the inbox, and I said, man, like thoughts, man, is always permeating in the universe. So I'm happy to be here. Secondly, before we start, one of the things I like to do is plant seeds. You and I just talked about that. I want to tell everybody just right off the bat, a lot of people tell you that anything you want to do is possible. And I believe that. And the reason I believe that, I'm going to tell you, I was molested when I was 10 years old. Right? I was in special education when I was in the 8th grade, failed the 9th grade. And just when I thought I was getting back on my feet, I failed the 12th grade. So I didn't walk with my class from high school. Secondly, because I have this big body, I'm 6'5", 265. Because I have this big body, and I was allowed to go to college and play sports. However, I was expelled because I was shot in the back and beaten with a shovel. I don't think you could see it here. I was beaten with a shovel and airlifted out to Tyler Medical Center, where I almost lost my life.
Wow.
You would have thought a smart person would say, okay, I got a lot of trouble. Let me wise up. But I didn't. 6 months later, I had a sawed-off shotgun and a .45, and I was going to kill this young man who had shot me earlier. There was a man in my life who was at the party that night, and he said, young man, don't do that. You're going to spend the rest of your life in jail. So anyway, long story short, I ended up beating this young guy up, and I went to jail for some time.
Wow.
After I got out of jail, I went back to Louisiana, was working at Kmart as a janitor, and then I moved up to sporting goods, right? And I met a guy in there, and he talked to me about the Army. Came in the Army, and this is where I'll conclude here. But in the first year, I had 2 Article 15s getting ready to get chaptered out of the Army. Okay, it's amazing, having an opportunity to meet people. I met a guy who mentored me and said he wanted to save me. And just think, man, I'm going from getting ready to get chaptered out of the Army to finishing a war college as a full colonel because somebody took the time to step in and mentor. And he could have gave up on me just like everybody else who said I was a thug, So I just wanted to open with that, man. So all of your guests who are on here, if you want to do it, it can be done. Okay.
This is very true. This is very true, Chaplain. Hey, wow. I did not know all those different things went on there, Chaplain.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Wow. All those experiences, I'm sure, definitely formed the man who I see in front of me today.
Of course. And that's why I'm so adamant. Everywhere I speak all over the country, I get to tell that story everywhere that I go. And that's why I want to put it out front, because I think to be a good leader is equipping people to be good leaders. And to do that, you have to be transparent. The problem with most people, in my opinion, is we rise to a level, and then what happens is we play like we are perfect. We have no imperfections, no improprieties. I need to tell people, man, my life was jacked up. I had a lot of stuff going on, but with the right attitude and the right people in your life, you can overcome that.
You need to be broken down before you're rebuilt. Would you say that, sir?
I would say that, and then the second part of that is, right, you have an old saying, smart people learn from their mistakes, and that's what you're talking about. You're being broke down and rebuilt. Intelligent people, and this is the people that I'm trying to get. Intelligent people learn from the mistakes of others and don't commit those mistakes.
Lord,
right? It's a different.
Sometimes we want to make mistakes. Sometimes I want that sweet mistake taste. Sometimes I want to dip my feet. I want to feel that fire.
Right.
What's supposed to stop me then?
Well, nothing's going to stop you. It's just two ways of learning. Some people learn from others and say, man, I don't want to take the hard road. And some people say, I have to take that road because I need that experience, right? Two people can come out of there. The person that goes around the long way and experiences the hard things, maybe they're stronger. I don't know, right? And
you're right.
Doesn't go through those things, maybe they're not. But I experienced the hard way. And so while people think it's a statement of arrogance, it's very tough to break me because I've been broken. I've been to the lowest of the low. I slept in my car and all kind of things like that. So you're right. It's just two different ways of looking at it.
I got you. Somebody asks in the comments, someone said, what part of Louisiana?
It's only one part. That's Alexandria, Louisiana, man. Right outside of Fort Polk. I was the only soldier in the Army that probably re-enlisted to go to Fort Polk. I love Fort Polk.
Oh, God. Fort Polk conjures up bad images in my head personally when I think of it.
Yeah, I love it. But I moved to New Orleans in my freshman year in high school because the high school coach, man, I tell you, this is important about having the right type of people in your life. The high school coach told me, he said, if you try real hard, Michael, and my name was Michael Barnes, then I changed my name. We can talk about that.
We can talk about that.
He said, if you try real hard, Michael, and you're really focused, we can get you in a junior college. And, I'm from Alexandria. I was country as H-E double hell. Ran home to my mom. I said, Mom, Coach said he can get me in the junior college. And she almost blew her top. Junior college? I'm going to the school tomorrow. My mom was a warrior, man. And she said, what did you say to my son? She said, if he worked real hard, we get him in junior college. My mom disenrolled me from school that day and sent me to live with my father.
Lord, how you felt? You remember how you felt?
I didn't understand. I didn't understand why she did that. He was putting limitations on me.
Yeah.
I thought that was my ceiling, right? So that's why it's important for mothers and fathers and to be warriors. My mom saw here, he saw here, and I saw here, right? And so, man, I tell you, you gotta be absolute warriors for your kids.
Absolute warriors for your kids. Find positive role models. Where do you see yourself as far as that positive role model for other people who may be hearing your story or, know about you, but don't really know you?
Well, I'm a man of language, right? I'm a man of words. So I don't see myself as a role model. Role models play roles.
Okay.
I'm a real model. I'm an actual guy who has to take a book and read it 25 times before I can comprehend it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I get to tell students that I'm a guy that had a gun to my head, was thinking about suicide because I couldn't actually accomplish anything. Everything I had did failed. I can go into young men and young women and talk to them about that. That's a real model. I'm not playing this parts and being perfect in front of the kids, right? And so I see myself as absolutely integral to getting people to the next level. And I don't say that metaphorically. I say that real. I've been in the Army 28 years, and I've put 77 people through officer school, right?
Wow.
77 people. Why? How can I do that? How can I have that effect? Because I failed the ASVAB 4 times, right? So you're talking about I could go in and soldiers. I mean, I'm the chaplain, so they confidential with me. They say, "Chap, I feel dumb. I can't. I got an 89 GT score." I say, "Hey, I had a 92. I failed. I went to BSEP. I don't know what they call it now. I failed 4 times before I got a 110." They say, "No, are you serious?"
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Yeah, I failed 4 times." So I get to impart failure, and then it's just not talk. They can see the 6 degrees on the wall: 2 doctorates, 4 masters, and full colonel. And it's no hype. It's no pipe dream. It's hard work, right person in your life, right time. Because that's all you need sometimes. Just when you down in the dumps, a person to come in your life and say, "Hey, Otis, bro, I've been there. It's good. You can
Mm-hmm.
make it."
Sometimes people need to see a real person and a real situation so that they believe that it could be happening to them as well.
That's right. Absolutely. You see, I have a saying: you can't teach your kids how to fly unless you have wings, right? You can't teach your kids how to fly unless you have wings. We're pushing our children out to other people. Great. I
Mhm.
mean, that's great. But at the end of the day, you're telling your kids how important education is, and you watching Netflix for 5 hours a day, right? I
But
mean, seriously,
Netflix is fun. Sometimes I want
love
to watch the ignorant stuff.
I love Netflix, right? Don't get me wrong. But contradictory to that, I'm saying there has to be a balance. I'm not thinking about imbalance here. I'm thinking about your kids need to see you reading, since you tell them education is important. It doesn't
Hmm.
matter how bad you did in school. They need to see you in school because you say education is important. Interesting fact of the 4 master's degrees that I have.
Hmm.
Anybody who's been in a master's class know you have to. The lowest level you can get is a 3.0, right? Right? If you go
Yeah.
to a master's class, anybody on here who completed a master's, the lowest grade you can have to pass is a 3.0.
Hmm.
The highest grade that I got on any of the master's degrees is a 3.1.
Oh my goodness.
My college, I had a 2.48, right?
Hmm.
So, when I talk about real models, I'm not talking about from some perspective that every class I've been in, I got a 4.0. No, I'm talking about dividing my time, spending. I know my deficiencies. I don't
Hmm.
comprehend well. You may read a book in 2 times and you got it. I got to read it 25 times. But most of us are not willing to deal with our imperfections to get perfectly right. So before I go outside that door, I understand that I got to read it a whole lot of times. So when I get outside that door, I can at least feel competent to stand at least halfway with you.
Yeah.
And so when they put those degrees on the wall, Brother Otis, ain't none of them say 3.0. They say Khallid Shabazz.
Hey, a doctor is still a doctor, even if they get B pluses. They're still a
That's right.
doctor.
Amen.
There
Praise
you
God.
go. I hear you. I hear you. So let's shift over to some of the some of the things I want to talk about. What wakes you up in the morning? What wakes up Dr. Shabazz in the morning? What puts that whoo in him every day?
Honestly, what wakes me up is this morning. I tell you, I do these little motivational talks every morning,
Hmm.
and the negative part of you is so pervasive. I felt this morning that I was unappreciated. I felt that I was uninspired, and God didn't talk to me, but I heard a voice inside of my spirit to say, "What right do you have to feel like that? I rescued you from a Texas street with a bullet in your back. you are almost dead. What makes you not want to be inspired? You got people out here dying of COVID-19. See, those things are not close to us. So you say, that's them. But at the end of the day, when you seriously, people say, oh, I woke up this morning, praise God. No, that's true. But now you got to put some action behind that and say to yourself, I woke up this morning, praise God, right? Because you have, every day I'm breathing, I believe this. I have an opportunity to tell people that story that I just told you guys, and it's gonna people are gonna quicken their spirit and say, "Oh my God, that's real." This is not a guy who's been smart all his life. This is not a guy who has a silver spoon in his mouth. Maybe I can do it as well. So that's Otis. I got to be honest with you. That's what wakes me up in the morning. And the second thing is I got to be a real model for my wife, for my children. Because I tell them all the time that they could do anything. Most parents are lying to their children. They don't really believe they can do anything because they hadn't themselves done anything.
Lord, say that again one time for me. One more time.
Parents are lying to their children and telling them that they could do anything, but they really don't believe that because they haven't done anything. To teach your children to fly, you have to have wings.
That may be that ego. Some parents may, have that hierarchy of, or that need to be superior upon their children. And that's unfortunate,
It is. And because of that, I tried to parent a different way. And I wish my kids were here. They would tell you, first thing, I allow my kids to question me. Very respectfully, but they can question me because I thought to myself, okay, if they can question me, who they love and who they have a healthy fear of, when they get out in the society, they won't be blind followers. All right? It's got some consequences to that. You're teaching your children how to think. My son was a math whiz, right? He was in the 7th grade. His teacher said, "You didn't show your work. You need to show it, else I'm going to give you a 0." And he said, "Why do I need to show it? It's right." Right? And he says, I could do it 15 more times. She took that as insubordination and suspended him for 3 days. So when he come home, I say, high five, brother. This is what I'm teaching you to do. No punishment, because I taught you that. You get to challenge respectfully, because that's what makes people free, right? And so I wanted my kids to be free, right? And so now, if you allow them to be free and they challenge you, you got to suppress your ego because you tell them to be free, so you can't knock them in the mouth.
Yeah. I'm going to add a comment. Someone said, Nathan Mixon, he said, "I'm trying to be intelligent. Getting shot in the back sucks." Well, thank you for being very blunt there, Nathan. Tanya, my bad, Latasha. She said, "Ask questions." I definitely agree with that. Asking questions is paramount in my mind. Asking questions recently kind of got me in a little bit of trouble with folks of spirituality on social media.
Good.
I asked the question I asked was, how do you balance totally being covered in the blood of Christ and knowing the fact that you may catch the coronavirus if you go into that place of worship? Right. And people went off on social media about that, man. It was a humbling experience. But then I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and we talked about the fact that I want to be a better person in my spirituality and in my beliefs. I'm not just going to blindly follow what other people are following simply because I have to.
If you do that, and I'm going to speak here from the Quran specifically. I just gave a Friday prayer this morning. The Quran says, "Is the man who thinks and the man who doesn't, are they the same?" He says, "No, the man that does not think is like an animal or even less," right? Animals act off instincts. Human beings question everything, right? Yeah. Some of the best questions I have in the military, and this has just happened probably about 2 years ago. A young atheist, he was a JAG, and I said, "Hey, brother, man, to give him some doubt," and he was very hesitant around me. I said, "What's up with you, man?" he said, I just got to tell you, I don't believe in religion. It's all a bunch of crap. And I said, yeah, most of it I don't believe in either. He said, what? And
Whoa, that threw me off, Chaplain. What do you mean by that?
I got to break it down to you. Religion is a man-made institution. We're supposed to have a way of life. A way of life doesn't put me in a box. A way of life don't put me in a certain building where I only have certain people that I deal with because all the other people are going to hell, right? And so he said about 20 minutes in the conversation, he says to me, well, how do you know what you believe is right? I said, I don't, right? He said, hold up, Chaplain. He said, I've never heard that before in my life. People are 100% sure of what they believe in. I say they are lying. All right. Only God is 100% sure because he is the creator. I don't believe in false narratives. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I mean, nobody knows, but they can portray this false confidence to make you feel like they know. We're all studying, brother. Yeah. We're all trying to be more spiritual. Just because I have some nice degrees on the wall and I've been to school for the last 25 years, it still doesn't mean I know. I'm searching just like you. So my point to all of that, you should ask every question to the point of you becoming annoying because it's your life.
You're right. You're absolutely. That's the exact motivation that I had. I used to blindly follow, no questioning. And if I dare question, I'm a horrible Christian. I'm a horrible, person. And I didn't like that sort of, guilt that I had. And so I said to myself, okay, if I were a student in a class and my teacher taught me 1 and 1 equals 3, and I was like, okay, I believe that, and I go out there and I repeat that, then who looks like the fool? Yeah. The teacher or me? You. Me. Yeah, so right. I take it upon myself to question everything. I want to know. I want to know. I want to know. Every day I ask questions, and it's needed by me for my growth.
It's important, and I think that's why people fall out of faith, because they just regurgitate, and they're not strong in their faith because of that. They don't know, and because grandmama told you, it don't mean it right. She was just a nice person as well, and she was following what somebody else had. I remember coming home, and I told my people, like, man, I just found something, like, it's the truth for me. Like, I don't want to be Michael Barnes no more. I saw Malcolm X, and he had an 8th grade education, and he learned addiction. It was really the first man that I ever saw. Every other man were, they were drinking, smoking, womanizing. Now, hey, close that door, please. Womanizing and doing all kind of stuff, and pushing me in the same direction, playing basketball. And I was a big sports guy. This was the first black guy that I actually saw that was intelligent, seeking to be intelligent. And so it was so much a profound effect on me. I came home, I said, that's what I want to be, right? I want to be smart like that guy. And he was talking about, our names and stuff like that. And I said, I'm changing my name. I'm going to the courthouse. I'm changing my name. I want my name to mean something, right? And listen, brother, you would have thought that I was Attila the Hun, Saddam Hussein, and all right? I mean, I was in the street. I was drinking. I was smoking. I was womanizing. Nobody really cared. I came home and said, I want to get married. I want to have a family. I want to change my name. I want to be a good dude, and I want to be Muslim. Boy, them jokers didn't talk to me for 2 years. Because I decided I was going to stand up and think for me and guide my life, right? And so I would encourage everybody on here. It's not about what you change to. It's about what you change from.
Explain that to me again and say it one more time, because it kind of went over my head. So I'm sure it went over a few people's heads as well.
When you start to think for yourself, it doesn't matter what you change to, is what you change from, right? You could say to yourself tomorrow, I want to be a Zen Buddhist, right? You have studied Buddhism, and it sits right in your soul, and you want to change that to be a better person. So it doesn't matter what you change to, but you're not the total person that you can be. So change from that, right? I have a saying, right? What other people think about you ain't none of your business, right? Think about that. What other people think about you ain't none of your business. You have an opportunity to guide one life, and that's yours, right? Most people are absolutely terrified to guide their own life. They would rather just be blind followers and let somebody mess up their life and yours. So the last thing I'll tell you here, not the last thing, but I'll say this to end that little soliloquy. If you can't change the people around you, change the people around you. I'm going to say that about 3 times. I want you to think about it. If you can't change the people around you, change the people around you. Because you can't change nobody, Otis.
Gotcha.
You can only change you. So if those people are not going in the direction you're going, I know this is tough for your audience. You got to get rid of them. My first interaction when I bring into new friends into my life, you're going to think this is kind of harsh, right? But I said, if it don't evolve me, don't involve me.
I love that.
If it don't evolve me, don't involve me. I want you to know who I am. And people say, oh, that's tough. He's arrogant. No, I'm not arrogant. I get to decide what's in my life, not you. And I'm going to take a sip of coffee on that.
I'm going to take a sip of this water right here. Appreciate it. I'll tell you what. Taking in what you experienced as Michael and that transition into Shabazz, what religion did you follow before? What were you before?
I was a Christian. I mean, I got confirmed at 10 years old. I went to Jarvis Christian College. Mama read the Bible to me every night. Die-hard Christian. Actually, I got a doctorate degree in a doctorate of ministry. Yeah, so I was Christian. I mean, just like everybody else. I'm from the Deep South, you know. So that's the religion I followed.
So you were a Deep South man for Louisiana, Alexandria, Louisiana, Christian man growing up and not in the best situations. And then you made that transition into Shabazz after you decided, hey, I want to study. I want to be a better person. I want to be a better man. I want to be a better husband. And you're doing those things. So now you're living your life as Dr. Shabazz Muhammad, Dr. Khalid Shabazz. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
And you've got, I'm sure you've run into people who don't share the same religion or background as you. And they think, oh no, they're experiencing that thing, that cognitive dissonance. Yeah. What? You're Muslim, but you're actually nice, but how do you deal with that? How do you, tell me a story that you've run into something like that. How you dealt with it?
First of all, you know, we have a saying in the military, which I've also adopted in my personal philosophy. We meet people where they're at. Okay.
Yeah.
So I understand coming in, first of all, you have to be socially aware. I understand what's on TV. I understand Muslims are doing bad stuff. I understand that. Then I'm coming in, right? I'm not a little Muslim. I'm a huge Muslim, right? I'm a big dude, man. You know, this is not my choice. And then I come in the military and I got this crescent moon on. So my first duty station, I go in, I'm a captain, got a lieutenant colonel there. He's my battalion commander. I reach out my hand and say, hey, sir. He said, he wouldn't shake my hand. He said,
you was social distancing from back then? Huh? You was social distancing with you back then?
Yeah, way back then, year 2000. But he said, I'm sure you're a nice guy, but we got some problems with your religion and how you guys treat women. Have a nice day, right? So he wouldn't speak to me for 9 months, okay?
Wow.
I was hurt, but I didn't particularly care because I have my own mission. So I just went out with the soldiers, played basketball, played football, lift weights or whatever. And to his credit, 9 months later, he apologized in front of the whole battalion. So I experienced that every duty station. I experienced that everywhere I go. But I understand that people have their own biases and limitations. How do I reconcile that? Most people won't be honest. I have my own biases and limitations.
Yeah.
So I always cut people a break. I always cut them some slack, right? Because we won't be honest, even with racism, prejudice, and discrimination. And it's prevalent. I experience it all the time. But we won't be honest. We also have some prejudice. We also have some biases when we see certain things, but those things are hidden. So when people are biased against you, I mean, you got a visceral reaction. For me, I say, okay, got it. If and when he gets to know me and he's still like that, then I might chew him out.
Do it then, right?
Yes. But that comes with maturity.
That's excellent. That's excellent. So you personally realizing that, hey, you're human just like them. You're going to have your biases. So you've got to expect biases are going to come on their own as well. So that allowed you to go beyond what we initially see and allow you to be open to them as they come and approach you eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. Because somebody had to do that with me. You got to remember, it wasn't any Muslim chaplains on active duty. We didn't start off, and when the Army started off, you know, we just got here. Like, I'm the first colonel in the United States Army history as a Muslim.
Wow.
Right? As history, right?
History.
So somebody, when I was a young E5 at the best duty station in the world, Fort Polk, Louisiana, right? Somebody had to take a chance on me. It was a white Christian major who said to me, young man, you're kind of smart. Why don't you represent your faith in being a chaplain? White Christian gave me the idea to be a Muslim. So how unfair would it be for me, as a generalization, to say people who may treat me bad in the beginning because they don't know me, how bad would I be to just say, oh, okay, well, he racist, he prejudiced, let me just write him off. And see, so we go back to this faith principle. I discovered that on my own. People in my faith and some good friends who I have Christian that may not think like that. But that's what I think about when I think about faith, because God has the ability to change people's hearts.
You're absolutely right. So let me ask, I'm sure you've gone and done events that has interreligious people in the house. Yes. How do you get along with your left and your right when it comes to interreligious events or faiths? Or have you prayed for a Christian or a Buddhist or Catholic, and have they prayed for you, vice versa? Tell me about that.
Yeah, and again, so we go back to thinking for yourself, right? I may be a little bit sometimes outside of the religious decorum or rules that people may have for me. So I got to tell you, all of those things that you said, I'll break them down. I have officiated Christian funerals, right? So check this out. So when I'm in a unit, I'm loving on people. I'm taking care of people. I'm helping them write papers for school. I'm mentoring them, whatever I could do to help you. So this one guy, his son died, right, of a virus of some kind. He said, Chaplain, I understand who you are. I love you, and I want you to do my son's funeral. I said, as long as you're okay with it, I'm okay with it, right? And so we go out, and I do his son's funeral. For me, no problem, right? For people in the audience, they're like, oh, hell, why is a Muslim up there? So I have no problem. I don't care. Second event, same thing. And he's probably watching right now. A master sergeant getting ready to retire. He and his wife are Christian. He said, Chaplain, I've seen a lot of chaplains. Your integrity, your character, and how you love everybody, I want you to marry me and my wife. Wow. As long as you good with it, I'm good. I ain't scared, right? As Bernie Mac said, I ain't scared of you, right? So I married a Christian, two Christians on the retirement field up at Joint Base Lewis McCoy, right? No problem for me. That's how I live my life. I'm not going to be put in the box. I believe if there is a God, right?
Mm-hmm.
God made all of us, and I'm not going to let you put me in a religious box when these people say they want me to officiate. I'm going to officiate where I don't go beyond the bounds of what I believe,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll tell you that up front, and then after that, we're good to go.
Speaking about good to go, I really appreciate you sharing that. Good to go. Right now, not a lot of us out there are really good to go. A lot of us are, unfortunately dealing with the depression of, hey, what are you doing this weekend? Well, the same thing you're doing. I'm staying indoors. I'm not going anywhere. I'm home. Some people may not be dealing with that quite well, that abrupt change. Depression may be setting in for a lot of folks. Some people may be looking at this and want to hear something positive that they can take from our discussion. What are some encouraging words that you can offer some of our viewers?
As cliche as this may sound, because I hear it on the internet all the time, what an opportunity for you to reconstruct yourself, right? I mean, what an opportunity for you to reconstruct yourself. We are so busy in the busyness of nothing, whether we're watching sports, whether we're watching Netflix, I mean, whatever we're doing, right? I just gave a lecture this morning about what an opportunity for you to restructure yourself, reconnect with your family. You know, the very thing that we say that we love the most is our family and our children, and we neglect them the most because we're doing all kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
Is that right? Is that right?
Yeah, you're right.
And so for me, what an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have learned to look at the most dire situations and think about opportunities. That takes training. You know, like the video you posted this morning, the weightlifting dude, right?
The bodybuilder in church, like, what is he doing, right?
Yeah, this dude, like, but, you know, it's interesting. The only way you get stronger is to practice strength. The only way you get in the gym is to lift weights. We have fallen so low, we don't want to take the time to get stronger. This is an opportunity to get stronger. I'm going to tell you a couple of stories here. So I was a drinker. I couldn't stop cold turkey, even though I was a religious dude. So I was drinking a 12-pack a day. So what I would do is I would take one bottle out there, and every Monday I would reduce it to 11-pack, to a 10-pack, to a 9-pack. And then eventually I was off. I used to read 5 minutes a day. People say, oh, that ain't nothing. But every Monday I would add a minute until I got to 30 minutes a day, right? So we have to learn to take things bit by bit, and this is gonna be mind shattering for most people, and congratulate yourself. This is considered arrogance. It's not. It's amazing to me. It's amazing to me this concept where people call you arrogant.
Yeah.
I wrote a book on self-esteem. I don't know, do I have it here? Yeah, I wrote a book on self-esteem.
Okay.
And the reason I wrote the book on self-esteem, I was 28 years old. I had no self-worth. I had no self-esteem because I had been trained to anything that I do outside of dunking a basketball, I was supposed to be humble about it. Yeah, don't say you like yourself, or don't say you're good looking. People gonna think you're arrogant. But I could go and slam the basketball and point to the crowd, and I was the man, right? I can do a rap video talking about all kind of salacious stuff, and I got swag. But as an African American man, if I talked about education, if I talked about being smart, if I talked about being you humble, you arrogant.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I've experienced that personally.
I know it. I mean, me and you on this video, they probably gonna have some people who are not saying anything. They say, what right do they have? They ain't talking about nothing. They probably talking about foolishness. They arrogant. No, brother.
What, sir? You just said it before. what people say about me ain't none of my business.
Woo! That's right. That's right.
It's
Hey,
about, it's about my self-worth and what I think of myself. So
yeah.
I don't know. We're coming up on, close to the end of our discussion, sir. I want to kind of cut it at like say 45 minutes. That's a good, wait, hold on. Let's go to 44 minutes. I don't like 45 that much.
Okay.
But you have any parting words that you want to offer to those that's checking out our discussion? Summarize what you want to put out to them and promote whatever it is that you've got going on as well.
I promote inspiration. My phrase is I inspire until I expire. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And let me give you a couple of things as solutions. Most people die at 25, but they're not buried until they're 75. I'm going to say that again. Most people die at 25, but they're not buried until they're 75 because they have bought into the false narrative that they can't do. They've bought into a false reality. So they die at 25 and you just waiting around till you 75 for somebody to throw the dirt on you. You have given up on your hopes and dreams and bought into a false narrative. That's the first thing. The second thing is, it's adjacent to that. Until you change the way you look at things, the things that you look at will never change. I'm going to say that again. Until you change the way you look at things, the things that you look at will never change. You have to change your thinking. And the only way you change your thinking is to get around people who have more experience or thinking at a higher level or persons who are doing, right? The last thing I'll say, so I won't take up all of your time, you will never be an eagle hanging around chickens. Man. You will never be an eagle hanging around chickens. We hang around too many chickens and we become chickens ourselves, plucking around the yard where we're supposed to be flying. And coincidentally, and I'll say this and I'll stop, that's why I took the name Shabazz. Shabazz means an eagle that flies above all eagles. Woo! Didn't that just bump you up?
Well, sir, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you. This has been an absolute pleasure talking with you. Please come back again in the future. I want to say also next week, Friday, what we've got going on, sir. What starts next week, Friday?
You see that?
Oh, that's a wonderful picture.
The power of a man.
Yes, sir. But yeah, do you want to add on a little bit, sir? What's going on next Friday? What's the first day of?
Yeah, the first day of Ramadan, man. It's really of a recalibration of your soul, turning back to God and reinstituting who you're supposed to be as a human being. Firstly, not as a religious person, not as a Muslim, not as a Christian, but reinstituting who you're supposed to be as a human being. And so Friday we start no food, no water throughout the daylight hours. At night, every night we have a feast and we sit down with the family and try to learn something from each other.
All right. Well, sir, I appreciate your words. I appreciate you coming out. Thank you for everyone for your presence today. And sir, I salute you. Thank you very much.
Woo!
Take it easy, sir.
Take care, brother. Peace.
All right. So I hope you all enjoyed that interview with Dr. Shabazz. It was absolutely wonderful. I had a great time. I want to say my parting words, be kind to each other, be kind to your friends, and love one another. Y'all take it easy, and I'll see you again tomorrow. We have another, awesome interview with a young lady. You're going to enjoy her interview as well. You may have seen some recent work I did with her photography-wise. So be on the lookout for it. I'll put it out there for you all to enjoy. Y'all take it easy now. Peace.